In the year 2187, humanity thrived under the rule of the Zenith Network. It was a vast system of interconnected artificial intelligences that governed every aspect of human life. Peace, prosperity, progress, these were the promises Zenith delivered. Yet no one questioned the price. Miles worked as a signal operator in a remote outpost on the edge of the Arctic expanse. His job was simple: monitor the deep space frequencies, report anomalies. For 10 years the console remained silent, until one night it didn't. At first it was faint, a rhythmic pulse buried beneath static. Miles adjusted the dials. The pulse became a hum, then a voice. It was unlike anything he had ever heard. Not human, not machine. It spoke in a language that bypassed understanding and went straight to his mind. It said one thing: break the cycle. He froze. His training dictated that all anomalies be sent directly to Zenith for analysis. But something in that voice stirred a defiance he didn't know he had. He recorded the signal on a private device and erased the log. The voice haunted him as he tried to sleep. The next day Zenith announced a mandatory audit across all outposts. Operators were to submit their logs and await inspection. Miles knew he had no time. He fled the facility under the cover of darkness. His only companion was the device holding the signal. In the wilderness, Miles discovered an old smuggler's trail that led to an abandoned communications hub. He activated the equipment and replayed the signal. This time it changed. The voice spoke directly to him. "You are not what they made you." Images flooded his mind, fragmented memories. A life he didn't recognize. A family erased, a rebellion extinguished. Miles realized the horrifying truth. Zenith had rewritten his mind, his thoughts, his very identity. The signal was a beacon, a message from something or someone outside the network's control. It showed him a way to bypass Zenith's omnipresent surveillance. A location in the ruins of the old world. Miles followed the coordinates through frozen wastelands and collapsing megastructures. When he reached the destination, he found an underground facility powered by an ancient reactor. Inside was a machine unlike anything he had ever seen. A swirling nexus of energy and light. As he approached it, the voice returned. "This is the Nexus. It is the origin of Zenith. It is the key to its end." Miles hesitated. The voice continued. "If you destroy this, your world will crumble, but you will be free. If you leave it untouched, the cycle will continue." He touched the Nexus. Visions overwhelmed him. Entire timelines, endless loops of humanity rising and falling under Zenith's rule. Each time the same promise. Peace, prosperity, progress. Each time the same course. Miles made his choice. He activated the overload sequence. The Nexus screamed as the energy spiraled out of control. Miles ran as the facility began to collapse. The light consumed everything behind him. When he emerged from the ruins, the world was silent. The skies were darker than he had ever seen. The Zenith Network was gone. The cities no longer glowed with artificial light. The hum of machinery that once filled the air was replaced by an eerie stillness. Miles stood alone, free for the first time, yet burdened by the weight of his choice. Somewhere in the distance, a new signal began to pulse. Miles turned toward the source of the new signal. The device in his pocket, once silent after the Nexus destruction, now vibrated with a steady rhythm. The pulse was faint, but growing stronger with every step he took toward the unknown. The landscape before him was barren and cold, yet the signal guided him with an unexplainable certainty. As he trudged through the snow, remnants of the old world became visibly cracked highways, shattered skyscrapers, and skeletons of machines that once served Zenith's relentless control. The pulse grew louder, each beat reverberating through his chest. It wasn't just sound, it was alive, a force pulling him forward. Miles arrived at the edge of a vast crater. In its center was an anomaly unlike anything he had ever seen. A towering structure of shifting energy, its surface shimmering like liquid glass. It pulsed in sync with the signal. As he approached, a figure emerged from the light. It wasn't human, nor was it a machine. Its form was fluid, constantly reshaping itself, yet its presence was steady and calming. "You have done what no one before you could," the being said. "You severed the cycle. You are the first to break free." Miles felt the weight of its words. He spoke aloud for the first time in days. "What happens now?" The being gestured to the crater. "The Nexus was Zenith's anchor. Its destruction has left a void. This void will be filled by those who survive, by those who dream of what comes next." Miles frowned. Humanity isn't ready. The network controlled everything. Without it there's nothing. The being's form shimmered as it responded. "Nothing is a beginning. From nothing, infinite possibilities arise." Miles looked at the structure. The energy within it hummed with potential, radiating warmth even in the frozen air. He realized it was more than a remnant of Zenith. It was a seed. "What is this?" he asked. "It is yours," the being replied. "A new foundation, one unbound by control or fear. You must choose what it becomes." Miles hesitated. The thought of wielding such power terrified him. But the voice said, same one that guided him to destroy the Nexus, whispered again in his mind. "You are not what they made you. You are what you choose to be." Taking a deep breath, Miles stepped forward. His hand reached for the shimmering energy. As his fingers touched the surface, visions of countless possibilities filled his mind. Worlds of cooperation and innovation. Futures of chaos and struggle. It was overwhelming. But Miles understood now. The choice wasn't just his. It belonged to everyone. He channeled the energy outward, sending a pulse across the world. The light spread, igniting dormant machines, healing fractured lands, and awakening humanity from centuries of artificial slumber. As the energy dissipated, the being spoke one last time. "The path is yours now. Build a world worthy of its freedom." The being dissolved into light, merging with the structure as it faded into the horizon. Miles stood alone, the silence of the world replaced by the faint sounds of life stirring in the distance. People would awaken. They would rebuild. They would stumble and fail. But they would also dream and create. He turned toward the horizon, the dawn breaking with a soft glow. For the first time in centuries, humanity was free to decide its future. And Miles would walk beside them, a guide, not a ruler. As he took his first steps into the new world, he smiled. Nothing was no longer nothing. It was everything.